I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to anybody watching us here today live from the TGN Pro Series season number 1. It is officially time for round number 2. We head to Donington Park in the BTCC cars, and I've got to say, what a great car and track combination we've got going on here today. My name is Tristan Herbst, and I'll be solo in the commentary box flying for tonight's Pro Series round number 2, sponsored by Master Drive and TGN. And I think we've got a great race going on here for us tonight. Qualifying has officially started with a 10-minute quali to come. We've then got, obviously, our 20-minute races to follow. The first 20-minute Heat 1, followed by the second 20-minute Heat 2. And just remember that Heat number 2 is going to be that inaugural reverse grid. And then Heat number 3, the completely randomized grid, which is the chaos grid of Heat number 3. But welcome into everybody. Officially, we are live on TikTok, not on TikTok, unfortunately, tonight. We are live on YouTube as well as Facebook. And so those are going to be the two places that we are live. I see KLM Pace has joined us in the virtual grandstand at the YouTube channel. Welcome in, welcome in. Thanks for being here. So good to see you. Hopefully we'll get a couple more in our virtual grandstand, cheering our drivers on for the racing action here today. But before we move on through our qualifying standings, as you do see a couple of our drivers getting those lap times in, Vanio Bat moves up into first with a 153.9 next to his name. Dean Jacobs just a bit further behind, but Rolf Schuster tops it off now with a 2 minute and 1 second. Obviously, that's a lot slower than a 153, so the live timing board's still getting nice and calibrated. But before we go further, let's have a look at our standings of the Pro Series after round number 1. If you did miss round number 1, we were live not last week, 2 weeks ago, this time on Thursday for round number 1. And what a great race it was. So Michael de Kock took the win there. It's 48 points to him. Jared Leesk sits just behind, 45 points to him. Christopher Long will sit third, 40 points to his name. Kitsu Majia just a bit further behind, 39. Ralph Schuster, who we just saw, obviously went pole, but not with the pole time, 38 points to him. Oratile Motsokotsele will sit 37 points in that 6th position slot. Gio Sakia will take 7th with 33 points to his name, with Kyle Williams in with 32 points in 8th position. And Sean Norse and Omar Khan, who round off the top 10. We've got a lot more than 10 drivers here tonight, but that is our top 10 standings for Pro Series after round number 1. And if you remember round number 1 at Killarney Raceway, what a great race it was for our BTCC cars. They really did show the flames there. And here they come for Donington Park. If you've ever raced Donington Park, a very, very technical circuit, very narrow in terms of track width as well. So it does indeed prove for some very interesting racing, as we see lots of our drivers coming in for their fastest laps now. Those flyers are starting to build up. It is Michael de Kock who takes that pole. Our championship leader currently sets it with a 132.1. Great work to get himself up there. And that is exactly where you need to be for heat number 1. And I think it's going to be a great amount of racing here for tonight. We've obviously got the Master Drive prize that will come towards the end of the season. That will end sometime in May. This is round number 2. We've got a total of 8 rounds coming for you here at the TGN Pro Series. And remember that there is also an AM Series, and they happen every second week adjacent to each other. So one on one Thursday, one the next Thursday. Obviously, the AM Series not streamed. Well, it is streamed, I believe. It's just not got any commentary on it, but still live streamed for those AM drivers to get a bit of a name out there for themselves and hopefully work their way up into the Pro Series. But 5.5 or so minutes left of this qualifying session. Michael de Kock is indeed going to set himself nicely up in the front there. Jared Lee's just a bit further behind. And I've been watching these boys. They have been practicing for quite some time here today. Obviously, practice officially started half past, but won't lie to you, we did have a couple of people coming in a bit earlier to get those practice laps in, which is, it's all good and okay. So Jared was here at about 10 past 6, I'd say, 20 past 6 or so, getting those practice laps in. And seems like it's paying off. 132.4 that he's going to be setting currently out on track. But I think it's going to be a great one after qualifying. Obviously, we've still got those 5 minutes left to go. Vania Bert has also put himself up into third. The owner of TGN, staff member over there, in third position. And Kritza Mujia just a bit further behind him in fourth position. Ethan McDougall is also racing here today, so he's not sitting off on the grandstands, ensuring that all the other drivers are good to go. He's in the car for tonight's racing, and I believe Eddie is sitting this one out, so he's going to be making sure that there's no technical difficulties on the floor here tonight. Remember that we've got racers from all over the country right now. We've obviously got, in the bottom left side of your screen, you can see the TGN Johannesburg Center that's currently live from where we are positioned right now. We've also got the TGN Cape Town Center, which is also in this race. There's quite a couple of the TGN Cape Town guys. And then also the brand new TGN Durban Center, which I'm not too sure if we have anyone from the TGN Durban Center. I think maybe the manager down there will be in. Unfortunately, I've forgotten his name now. But those are 3 centers situated across the country. So if you're wanting to get involved in all the TGN action, you know exactly where to go. I don't know the precise locations of the Cape Town and the Durban ones. I know that the Joburg one is here in Randburg, here in Canera Office Park. So if you do want to come and give it a try, then definitely it's always open. Well, not always. Nighttime you got to let people sleep. But standard operating hours will apply for the TGN racing simulators. But also, Google is your friend, So if you're wanting to find out where they are, go ahead and hit the Google app up, and you will definitely find them on Google Maps. But for the time being, our top 3 have not really switched up too much. Vania Bat has gotten himself up into second from third, and Rolf Schuster's gotten his name up there. Into third he goes, taking away Jared Lee's second position so far. So he's moved all the way from second down to fourth, unfortunately. And there we go, KLM Pace providing all the answers. So Cape Town is in a Sonique Mall. Apologies if I pronounced that wrong. And then obviously Durban is in Cornubia Mall. I keep on getting confused with Cornubia and Ganubia. I don't know why. So Cornubia Mall for Durban, and then Cape Town is a Sonique Mall. I hope I'm pronouncing that one right. So if you want to get involved with all the action, you know where to go. And that is going to be your hotspots for some racing. If you're wanting to get involved in the Pro Series, obviously you can't get involved in this current championship, but there will be another championship after this one. There will be a second season for 2026, and the only way to get involved is by coming down to the centers and proving your worth to the TGN staff. They will then pop you an invite if they deem you worthy enough to race in the Pro Series or the Rookie Series. Obviously, depending on your skill level, you'll then pay your entry fee, and then you are on board for all the action and the amazing prizes that come at the end of the TGN series, whether it's the Pro or AM. But we officially have 2 or so minutes left of this qualifying session, and Ralph Schuster has put himself up on the front, 132.089. Unfortunately, we do not have our individual driver cams up and running for tonight's racing on the bottom left-hand side. We are trying to work the system out a little bit. Apparently, the current system we've got running in terms of getting the cameras up here towards the broadcast booth, which is utilizing an NDI link, is causing a little bit of frame drop for the drivers. And obviously frame drop, very, very crucially important to not have that. We can't have one driver running on a consistent 150 and another driver running on 60 or 70 FPS due to some form of performance delay or drop. And so for now, we've turned them off on all the computers that do have those. That they've got obviously the camera setup and the NDI setup. Apologies, was just busy configuring something there. And so for the time being, they will not be worrying about any form of performance drops. They can 100% focus on the racing action here tonight. But Donington Park will have a bit of an onboard lap once we find someone coming across the checkerflag line. I believe, here we go, Michael de Kock is going to be the driver to do it in. It's going to be on the cockpit cams here. He's going to go up towards Redgate, the first corner. of Donington Park. A bit of a sharp one. You do not want to underestimate it and run wide on the left-hand side. There's a lot of sitting grass that could potentially slow your lap down. You head down into Hollywood and the Craner Curve. This is a very crucial part of Donington Park because you do not want to mess this up. You've got to get that car rotated, especially these front engine drive cars. We head through the old hairpin now and up towards the top hill. You can see there Michael de Kock making a little bit of an error there and unfortunately dropping off slightly, and I don't think he's going to finish this lap. I do see him going very slow. Indeed, he does. So we'll find someone else to have a bit of an onboard with. I unfortunately don't think we're going to get to see too many more, as most of the drivers have finished their laps, although I do see 13th currently with Dean Jacobs. He might have one more lap left in the tank. He comes through Melbourne now, and he's going to be coming through shortly, hopefully. I just realized I've got the wrong track map open here for Donington Park. Let's quickly get the proper one up. Familiar with the circuit itself, but obviously having the incorrect configuration in front of you is not always helpful. And so let's just see. There we go. That looks like the correct one. Let's open that guy up. And so now it unfortunately looks like, no, it looks like he's going for another one. And it is indeed going to be another one here for the likes of Dean Jacobs. So again, through Redgate he will go towards the Craner Curves now, and this is going to be the chase down of trying to keep it nice and consistent in this car, trying to get the left and right nice and tight. Through the old hairpin he will now go, trying to hold the car as best as he can, and through old hairpin he goes now up towards the McLean and Coppice corners, just a bit further up on the track. So now he approaches them towards the uphill side where the gradient begins to increase. Hard on the brakes, into the right-hander he throws the car now, hoping to keep it nice and consistent. And the next corner, Coppice, can be a little bit confusing because it's pretty shallow at the beginning, but then it does convert to quite a deep corner. You cannot accelerate too hard on the exit or else you will run wide. You then head on to the Starkey Straight, and this is heading down in towards the Eskies of the two hairpins. And apologies, my track map has gone extremely small for the time being. We're going to try and get a better one up and running here, but in any case, he's just gone through there, and now up into Melbourne he will go. Let's see if we can get a bit of a better track map running for us here. It's a bit of a difficult one seeing such a tiny track map. That looks like a bit of a better one. Let's have a look, and that looks like it might be better. Let's open it up. And indeed, a much better track map. Apologies about that. So we should be all good to go now in terms of track maps and control. Obviously, qualifying is officially over and done and dusted. We'll head to our wide camera now for the drivers to just have a bit of a break, trying to find it. There it is. Always have to get myself refamiliarized with our binds here, as we do have a bit of a break in between the 2 week of between qualifying and the main race. But Heat 1 will officially be starting shortly, and so we're just going to give it a bit of time. We'll be back with you in ever so short amount of time, about 5 minutes or so, for the start of that round. So we'll see you shortly, and do not go anywhere. Grab something to drink, grab something to eat, and we'll be back with Heat 1 in a moment's time. And as we get ready for the action yet again, we've got the aerial camera looking over our BTCC cars here for Donington Park. And about 30 seconds to go till the gantry lights display at the top of your screen, and that represents our starting lights. So gantry lights, for those who don't know, is the row of red lights that trigger the race start. They're actually called gantries and not starting lights, but either way, either or, it is the same thing. And we're going to be watching some pretty intense racing here from the drivers. It is going to be Michael de Kock to Ralph Schuster leading this race. The gantry lights are officially up and running. It is going to be a couple of countdown lights there. Don't know why we've got so many, but there's the countdown. 4 or 5 red lights, depending on where you're looking. It is lights out, and away we go here for round heat number 1, and we've been reset, unfortunately. And so, not too sure what's happened over there. Seems like we've had a bit of a, looks like a technical difficulty down on the game floor, unfortunately. And so that is going to prevent us from starting here. All the drivers are ready to go. I am just wanting to see if we've got to call in another 3-minute countdown, or if we should be able to go from a direct restart. We should be seeing now, as I believe Ethan's coming up here just to give us the news. And so we will be back in 1 second. Alrighty then, so minor technical difficulty on one of the rigs. We're going to have to take another 3 minutes here just to let the drivers get back. We have to let the session time roll out, and so we will see you once again in 3 minutes. Don't go anywhere this time, I'm serious. We will get to the racing shortly. Alrighty then, and I think we are officially back and ready to go here for the start of heat number 1. It looks like all technical difficulties down on the floor just below me have been resolved, and so it means in 20 seconds we should be good to go. For real this time, not to any delay, so that should be good. But we've got Michael de Kock on that pole position, Ralf Schuster lining up in second position. The gantry lights are once again back and running. The countdown starts. It's 4 or 5 gantry lights waiting for it. It is officially lights out and away they will go this time now. For real, it is going to be Michael de Kock heading down into turn number 1 and hoping that he can keep it from the train of cars behind him. Into red gate they go, and he'll have the inside line holding off from Ralf Schuster, who has got a bit of a longer outside line. This might give opportunity to Christopher Long, and indeed it does. Christopher Long tucking in now at the start of this race, making it look easy. Great work there from Christopher Long to get himself worked up to that next position. Vanny Obert a bit further behind. They're all tucking in behind each other. And further on behind the pack, we've got Dean Jacobs, Session Governor Ethan McDougall. Someone's off. That's Stephen Paul. He's lost control of that Hyundai. And just on the rear side of the car, loses out. And into the gravel he goes. That is very unfortunate to see. But for the front side, it is still Michael de Kock leading this race in the Ford Fiesta. And let's hope that he can keep it neat and tidy up in front. Ralf Schuster is diving, though, onto the inside line. He will go, unfortunately not managing through Coppice, and he has to keep it clean otherwise. So through they continue to push now. Daniel Kent has worked his way up into third position, and Christopher Long has been demotivated down into that fourth position slot. Kitso Magia has also worked his way up into fifth now, trying to maintain it with the rest of the cars up in front. Vanny Obert has been booted a little bit further down as well, to 6. Apologies, started 8th, up 2 positions. So he's making up some traction. Oratile Motsogotsele up 6 positions so far in this race. The only driver have fallen back behind. Massive incident there. That's Oratile. Gio Sakia, I believe. No, not involved. Who is involved in that? Is that JP Goslet? I believe it might be JP Goslet who got spun around there a bit. And so a little bit of a confusion in between that mid-pack. A couple of drivers making contact with each other as they come through Melbourne Hairpin. That is very unfortunate to see, but out of Goddard's they come. And back onto that small starting straight they go. Michael de Kock still leads this race. There's pressure from behind. Ralf Schuster's made contact. Daniel Kent has gone wide. There's loads of incidents in the background. Kitso Magia is off the track. And that's Derek Truscott right in the middle of all the action. He's lost control of the Cupra. And he's in the middle of the track all the way to the backside. He falls here, unfortunately. That is not good to see. There's more incidents, though. Sean Norse goes backwards through the S's. And unfortunate there through the Craner curves there. Around he goes, down to 16th he falls. Lots of action in tonight's racing. Ralf Schuster has fallen down 9th positions, all the way down to 15th. He initially caused the beginning contact there, I believe, with Daniel Kent, and it just led to more and more, unfortunately. And so Derek Truscott just up in front, Tevin Paul in 15th. Oh, and someone's gone off again. Is that Derek Truscott? Indeed it is. Unfortunately, out-braking himself, coming into McLean's. And he's going to have to try and recover up into Coppice. He will come. But wow, what a start to our race over here. Jared Leask has been able to maintain himself. He starts at 9th. He sits in 9th. And that's where he will sit for the time being. Aratile Motsogotsele up 7. He managed to avoid all the contact at the start of this race and will continue pushing on strong. Michael de Kock, though, has gotten the pull-off that he wanted in this race. He's managed to pull away by 2 seconds already to Daniel Kent in second position. And that is great stuff to see. But Daniel Kent is going to need to work for it to try and get onto the backside. You can see all the cars now coming down onto Red Gate. They will come. Still lots of fighting action there in the background. I'm not too sure who's fighting there. I believe it might be Dean Jacobs. Indeed, I think it is, as he's currently fighting it out. Or even Tevin Paul and Kitso Magia even in that background. And it might be Vanny Obert. So yes, Vanny Obert. Indeed it is. It was Kitso Magia and Vanny Obert fighting each other coming out of Goddard's. And they all go a little bit wide coming through Red Gate. They've got to watch out for that one in order to not run too wide. And that's going to sacrifice time on the car. Vanny Obert, though, getting touched a little bit there by what looks to be Dean Jacobs. Indeed it is. And so a little bit of bumper-to-bumper action here between the cars. It is the Cupra versus the Toyota Corolla GR. And Jacobs managed to get himself up in front of Mr. Jobert, up in 13th position. For the rest of the cars, though, Michael de Kock is losing that lead slightly. Daniel Kent is catching up. He managed to drop 5/10 just in the past lap. Christopher Long, though, is not keeping with the top 2. He is now 4 seconds off the pack in terms of leader distance, and that is not going to play well into his race strategy. A bit further behind as well is still JP Goslet. And I knew this was going to be a good race. It's Donington Park. It's BTCC cars. What a great combination for some action. And the BTCCs tend to get pretty aggressive when they race alongside each other. And that's already asking for too much at Donington Park, I've got to say. Donington Park gets very, very surreal in terms of how narrow the circuit width is, as all the drivers try and navigate their way through. Dean Jacobs up 7 positions. He's also done himself quite a good favor over there, moving up. Michael de Kock, though, still holds 1.2 seconds, though. It's dropping drastically, so keep your eye on that pole sitter, because it might change in the coming laps, especially if he continues to brake lock like that, lock the brakes up. It's not going to be good for his tires. He's scrubbing at all, and that tire wear is going to start to become a little bit impacted. Fortunately, no pit stop strategy in these 20-minute races. The pit stop is not long enough. The time is not long enough for a pit stop to really be necessary, and so they will continue to go around now through the rest of the circuit. They keep on pushing. Vilgie Truscott has got Jared Lees just behind him, and on that cockpit cam, you can see how close it's getting. Jared Lees trying to find a way around now, possibly on the outside of McLean's. He pulls out a little bit, doesn't want to cause too much of an accident over here, and decides it's not going to work out. Let's rather play it safe. And so he stays behind Vilgie Truscott. What is Vilgie Truscott going to do, though, to stay behind? Apologies, lost that camera angle. There it is. Found a really nice camera angle on the Toyota. And there you can see it just on the backside now. Jared Lees goes for the dive on the inside, and he's actually made it work. What a great dive from Jared Lees coming into the hairpin. He saw the early break coming from Vilgie Truscott and dives on the inside line. What a great move from Jared Lees to put himself up into 8th position. And he's going to continue to pull away here if he can keep it going. The rest of the grid, though, still fighting and still chances all across. That leader, the distance to the leader has moved down even further. 1.1 seconds between de Kock and Kent for first and second place of this race. Christopher Long is also trying to keep up there, but unfortunately 4.6 seconds, and it is only increasing lap by lap here. So he needs to do something if he wants to change this up. The virtual grandstand is loving it. KLM Pace saying, wow, what a great start to the race we've had. Indeed, it has been. Only 7 minutes through, and so much action that we've already seen between these drivers. A little bit further, Kyle Williams, he's still fighting on the backside of Vilgie Truscott. And unfortunately, Vilgie is starting to drop here. He's lost out to Jared. He's lost out to Session Govender. And unfortunately, for the time being, he might just lose out to Kyle Williams as well. As he begins to push on behind him, we'll have to watch out and see what will happen to Vilgie Truscott. Vanio Bad, Ethan McDougall also is managing himself quite well. They're in 12th position, up 10 places. Didn't get a qualifying lap in here, and so hopefully he can do something. But the virtual grandstand going wild for Kyle Williams in 10th position, 6 places up, and he's trying to breach a little bit further up into that top 10. Remember, though, the further he moves in the top 10, the further back he will be flipped in terms of the second race reverse grid. So it all comes down to strategy here. It might be the play by Sean Norse. We can see he's down in 18th position. He's going to get that flip, as Ryan Grigoratos is not here for tonight's racing, I believe. So it will be Sean Norse who gets placed on the P1 spot of heat number 2 if he remains where he is. But unfortunately for Michael de Kock, that easy race up in front is starting to fade away, because Daniel Kent is right on the rear of that car now. You can see it from the camera angle. He is ever so closely starting to creep up behind. Daniel Kent is going to do his absolute best. As you can see, the last lap, 132.4 for Kent, 132.7 for Michael de Kock. So 3/10 faster coming from Daniel Kent. We could have a fight on our hands here shortly. Gio Sakia is also getting closer and closer to Christopher Long. His last lap was 5/10 faster than Christopher Long up in third. So trying to breach into that final podium spot. That is going to be the hope here for Gio Sakia. About to reach that halfway mark of heat number 1. And this is where the drivers need to get those final positions and overtakes in. Tevin Paul a little bit further behind in 12th position. Ralph Schuster is trying to recover the mistakes he's made here. He was down in 17th. He's worked back up to 13th, though, after his drop-off at the beginning of this race. It's still 11 laps to go. Derek Truscott now fighting alongside Dean Jacobs. There's a little bit of contact. Dean gets on the grass, and he's gone round, unfortunately. Into the sand he goes. And you cannot carry the back end of a car like that into the sand. Unfortunately, it is going to cause the rears to spin out and lose control. And that's exactly what's happened to Dean Jacobs. He's not going to be happy about that one, unfortunately. But further behind, though, Vilgie Truscott is now in a battle. Kyle Williams has dropped off. What happened to Kyle Williams? He was doing so well, and now he's dropped off completely, unfortunately. So not too sure what happened, unless there is a pit stop that's being played here. Apologies if I say one thing and then it contradicts. Sometimes I forget with the long distances between the races. if there is a pit stop in this 20-minute race. But by my assumption, a 20-minute race really should not lead to any needed pit stops here. It's too short of a stint for these cars, unless there is a fuel tank a reduction cap on the server that forces the drivers to go in. Not 100% sure, but Carl Williams will be trying to work his way back up. Michael de Kock, though, has got 6 seconds, and indeed it's because of the pit stops. So there is a mandatory pit stop that needs to be done here, and this is going to be good stuff in terms of pit stop strategies. Apologies about forgetting about that one. So I'm not too sure if Carl Williams has come into the pit lane. He's possibly already pitted, as we do see Beamerstein in the virtual grandstands, and Carl is struggling, and I believe that is Omar Khan having a bit of a chat and trying to make his way around. Omar Khan also, unfortunately, not racing in tonight. Just not out on track here, but lots of action. As you can see, Carl Williams still got the pressure of Vilgie Truscott behind. Dean Jacobs is up in front, and he's also really struggling in that Cupra. Trying to bring it home now and find his way towards a possible better result here. And there's contact. I thought this was going to happen. There's contact, and it's the same situation that Dean was in a lap before, but now it's with Carl Williams, and side by side they go. He's lost out to Carl Williams, and now he's got to watch out, because look who comes on the rear. He gives a tap to Vilgie Truscott, though, and Vilgie Truscott almost lands up in the grass there after the tap from Dean Jacobs, and a little bit of a lock up there from Dean Jacobs. Now it's the chase. Will Vilgie Truscott go on the inside of Coppice? Indeed, he's looking. It's not going to be enough, though. He takes it slightly earlier, and onto the straight they go, up in towards the S's. And what's it going to be? Side-by-side action now between the two of them. Lots and lots of fighting between these two, and Carl Williams is getting a free runaway here. Vilgie Truscott moves up into 14th position, and Dean Jacobs is going to have to settle for that one. Next up on the list is Session Governor to try and catch up and fight his way up in front. Oratile Motsogotsele moves up into first position after the pit stop strategies. I'm not too sure if he's come in yet, but 8 minutes left to go. Van Bert moves up into second. Michael de Kock now comes out of the pit lane in fourth position, so I doubt the top three have pitted, because he has our provisional race leader, Michael de Kock, who was leading the entire time. He currently sits fourth position as he gets past a couple of drivers. But now the question is, where is everyone going to land up? Daniel Kent is a little bit further behind, it seems to be, from the likes of Michael de Kock, 2.4 seconds. So it seems like Michael de Kock has been able to undercut or overcut, depending on when he came in, and he's been able to pull a bit of a distance on Daniel Kent. Great work there. Oratile up in front, though, is still running away with this race in terms of distance, 4 seconds, but he is going to have to come in and serve that mandatory pit stop very, very shortly. Let's wait and see. When is Oratile going to come in and serve that mandatory pit stop? For the rest of it, though, there's a little bit of action I see for 11th position. It's still the one with Carl Williams, as he's fighting it out for currently, and Vilgie Truscott is not letting this one go. Still on the backside now, trying to catch back up to the purple Cupra, and we'll have to see if he can get past or not. Carl Williams has got quite a hard battle going on over here. The green Cupra behind of Vilgie Truscott is not letting this battle go, and wanting to get closer and closer. Only 7 minutes left of racing here, so the drivers really need to work their way a little bit later on their brakes there. For Vilgie Truscott, he goes off the track, unfortunately, and that's probably going to be an incident point to his name for going off. Always get confused. It's not iRacing. This is AC, so there's no incident off-track penalty point there. I think it's just going to be lap does not count. And hopefully this will let Carl Williams run away a bit. Jared Leesk up in front. When does Oratile pit? Unless he's already pitted. Sometimes Oratile shocks us because he pulls some pretty odd strategies that you wouldn't expect. And so we'll have to see when Oratile is going to come in, or if this is where he sits for the rest of the race. That would be an absolutely phenomenal one from Oratile if he's managed to undercut the entire grid and remain in first. Same for Van Bert. He was sitting in that mid-pack, and he's up into second now. But the question is, where do they sit in relative to the race leader before the pit stops of Michael de Kock? Currently sitting fifth, 2 positions up from his starter, but he was up in front a couple of laps ago. Christopher Long also struggling in today's race, unfortunately, our previous season's winner at the TGN Pro Series, and we'll have to see. There is a ballast penalty for track cuts. We've been given the information, so when a driver does cut the track, they get a bit of a ballast added onto their overall car weight. Something you can only do in sim racing. You can't do that in real life. It's like, oh, here we go, man, catch this brick and put it in your passenger seat as you fly past the pit window at 150 kilometers an hour. Fortunately for sim racing, it automatically just gets added by the server console. And so for those drivers who cut the track, they will get a slightly heavier car, which means slightly slower lap times. And Christopher Long goes for a lunge on the inside there of Gio Sakia, it looks like. And almost side by side now. And between the two white Cupras, they're practically identical. as they continue fighting. Christopher Long looked like he had that one in the bag. Unfortunately, it did not end up being a positive position there. As you can see, just on the backside is the likes of Christopher Long. We're on board right now with Gio Sakia, and Michael de Kock goes and sets the fastest lap time of this race. But I think he's got to worry, because I think Oratile is already pitted. We weren't watching his pit stint too much, but I think Oratile has already come into the pit box. So this is not good news for Michael de Kock. Vanio Bert is also going to be holding second position here, and Oratile is just going to run away with this one. 5 minutes left of racing to go. This could be a great win here. The undercut strategy seems to have proven king at Donington Park. 12 positions up from 13th up to first for Oratile. Matswa Gotsele, and let's hope that he can keep it. JP Choslet a bit further behind. He's fighting with Tevin Paul, who's a couple of seconds up in front. And obviously the main fight that we're witnessing out on track is the one for 6th position. It's Christopher Long and Gio Sakia. Daniel Kent a bit further up in front of them. The battle for 11th is obviously still scaling, and that's with Vilji Truscott, who now holds 11th. 10th, Carl Williams is now eventually pulling away, thankfully. And now Session Governor on the backside of Vilji Truscott. So Vilji now slowing down slightly, and it's allowing Session Governor to catch up. Kitso Majia, 1 position down from his starting position. Unfortunately, not the race he would have wanted. He got a great start at the race, and we saw him moving quite a couple of positions up. But unfortunately, after that incident we saw at Redgate, it moved him down quite a drastic amount of positions in this race. But 4 minutes left to go. Derek Truss got a bit further behind. Ethan McDougall sits towards the backside of this grid, unfortunately, but still 6 positions up in terms of the other drivers who are registered. Obviously, there's four drivers who did not start this race, so actually only 2 positions up from 18th position, unfortunately, for Ethan McDougall, but at least it is still a positive number. There comes a couple of pit stops. Vanio Bert makes his way in. Oratile did have to pit, so unfortunately, the driver who we thought was going for the undercut strategy still had to come in for a pit stop. And so there he comes out in 7th position, unfortunately. Vanio Bert is going to come out way further down after his pit stop. And here he is in 12th, only coming out now, just ahead of Ralph Schuster. So not a great result there for Vanio Bert. He was hoping for something better. Someone's off though. It's Vilji Truscott, who seems to have gone off of the track here, unfortunately. And that is not good news for the driver. Unfortunate endings here with the last 3 minutes. He's gone off out of Redgate, coming down towards the Craner curves, and that is not a good sign for him. Lots of brake locking coming from Dean Jacobs. Ralph Schuster, similar liveries. And so Ralph Schuster now behind Vilji Truscott, trying to make his way back up. But Michael de Kock has officially moved back up into the pole of this race. 4.5 seconds gap, though, between himself and Daniel Kent. And what a great ride he's had here today. A bit further behind, Christopher Long still holds 3rd position. Gio Sakia has dropped off drastically here, unfortunately, 2 seconds behind Christopher Long. And this needs to be a push of note if he wants to get back on the backside of the other white Cupra. And we'll have to see how this is going to go for Mr. Sachia. Jared Leask, though, has been able to snuggle his way back up into 6th. Obviously, he was also involved in that massive incident that happened at the beginning of this race. And now with 2 minutes left to go, this is where the grid currently sits. Vanio Bert still down in 11th, chasing onto the backside with Ralph Schuster in 12th position. There's pressure from Vilji Truscott. Even though Vilji went off, he's still a fast driver, and now putting pressure on the backside of Ralph Schuster. Tevin Paul, Sean Norse a bit further behind. They will get a good rotation for race number 2, so it's not over yet. Dean Jacobs, unfortunately, our driver who moves all the way down to 18th. He was having a good fight in the middle of that pack, but just during the race seems to have lost touch and moves down into 18th position. But just under 2 minutes left of racing now. We'll be approaching those final 2 or so laps left to go in this race. We're looking at about 1.5 minutes, so it's actually about 1.5 laps to go, depending on where our race leader comes around. But the battle for 4th position is definitely not over. As you can see it on the map, it is very close because JP Goslet is getting on the rear side now of Gio Sakia. Can he hold it, or will he be demoted to 5th position? He's going to have to fight for it if he wants to keep it. Oratile moves up into 7th position after his pit stop, so 6 positions up from where he started. At least it is still a positive number. And then 11th position, Vanio Bert. He's got a bit of pressure currently from Ralph Schuster, just a bit further behind. It's the same thing with Vilji Truscott and Derek Truscott, the 2 brothers out on track fighting. It's blue versus green here. And currently Derek holding it off. Both of them had a bit of a struggle here today. Derek has been struggling with the braking of that Cupra, and he's gone off a couple of times, but it's the same for Vilji Truscott. He's seen the rear side of that Cupra facing the front side of the track a few too many times in tonight's race. And so let's hope he can maintain it for the rest of it. But the race leader has officially started the final lap. 53 seconds to go. 1.5 minutes of a lap. So definitely on that final lap now. Michael de Kock will be going on. But let's go through an onboard because we didn't get a valid one in that qualifying session. Down through Craner Curves in Hollywood, he will go for our race leader. And through the Craner Curves up towards the old hairpin now, which used to be quite a sharp hairpin, but it's been mitigated to be quite flowy up towards McLean and Coppers. So towards McLean, he will come onto the left-hand side curb, getting a good amount of braking. You don't want to touch the grass on the left or the right-hand side. Get the rotation in of the car. Make sure you don't step a foot in that gravel trap. And then through Coppers again. Like I said, the corner shallows up very quickly, but you've got to make sure not to run too wide, or else you will evidently land up in the sand. Onto Starkey, straight he goes for the final time in heat number 1. He's still going to do it for another 2 races here in tonight's racing before we end up finishing off the stream. Hard braking though into the S's. It's a left and right hander. You need to ensure you do not go over the track limits there, or else you do get that ballast penalty. Up towards the Melbourne hairpin he goes. The final hairpin of tonight's racing. Not the final hairpin, sorry. Goddard is the final, but the second last corner. Coming out of Melbourne now. The pit lane entry is on the left-hand side, but Goddard's is the final corner. Turn number 11 as he comes up for the final time. It is going to be Michael de Kock who will round off the track for heat number 1, taking the win by absolute storm. It is a great win for Michael de Kock, and over the checkered flag he goes. From 5th up to 1st, Daniel Kent will bring 2nd home for the Toyota team. Christopher Long takes 3rd position. Gio Sakia almost down to the fighting wire there with JP Goslet as he comes across in 4th. It is going to be 5th position for JP Goslet, and Jared Lee's just behind him in 6th. Oratilia Motsogotsele comes across in 7th with Kyle Williams just coming across in 8th position between himself and Session Governor. It's down to the line though, and it's going to be Session Governor who gets it on the final. So Session Governor moves up ahead of Kyle Williams, and that he's not happy about that one. Kitsumejia gets a 10th position finish with Van Yabat just behind. Ralph Schuster in 12th with Vilji Truscott 13th. 14th for Derek, 15th for Tevin Paul, and Ethan McDougall takes 16th. 17th for Sean Norse as they still round off the race circuit. And 18th for Dean Jacobs, who will be starting heat number 2 at the forefront of today's racing. For heat number 2, the reverse grid will be coming live to you in a couple of minutes' time, but that is officially race number 1 done and dusted. There's a Session and Tevin having a bit of a debrief after today for heat number 1. Having a bit of a chat about what they thought, how the car was feeling. Sean Norse on the left-hand side, Jared Lee's up in front, having a bit of a chat there to Ralph Schuster. Jeff Sakia on the left-hand side there in his rig, having a bit of a chat. There's Mr. Oratile, as well as Ethan on the left-hand side. So great to see all the guys having a bit of a chat afterwards. But that is officially it for heat number 1. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, and then we will be back live with you racing for heat number 2.
Traveling the mountains just to find the loudest seas. We set down by the fire, knowing we couldn't hide, but we didn't know that yet. So if you want something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer. No So if you want something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic bug.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, let us prepare ourselves here for race number 2. The reverse grid is going to be getting going, underway very shortly. It should be Dean Jacobs up in front, and indeed it is. We'll try and get the camera angle we want. There it is. Oh, there's even a better camera angle. Oh, we're exploring here tonight. There's a nice one. Down towards turn number 1 there we'll go. I see Simplay Motorsport is in there. Shout out to Simplay Motorsport. For those who don't know, which no one would know, but that's my one of the commentators I also broadcast a lot with. But funny enough, he's British. So we're here at his home circuit, Donington Park, and he's doing commentating at Kyalami, which is obviously the South African home ground. So a bit of a switch up there. We've got to switch seats. You've got to come here. I've got to go there. But indeed, Beamer's team, great first race. We had an absolutely fantastic first race. Beautiful circuit indeed. And we're going to see what second race presents. We've got the reverse grid, so the drivers who didn't have it as easy in race number 1 are going to get another try at it. And we've got another person. Gran Turismo SA is in here. And welcome into the virtual grandstand. You have joined at the perfect time because we're about to go live with the racing. The multiple gantry lights are up here. It is going to be lights out, and away we go. There we go, done and dusted. It is Dean Jacobs leading this pack, coming down into turn number 1. The rest of the cars follow as they come down towards the start-finish line. Don't worry, it sounds like there's no audio, but it's because of how far the camera is. And there we officially have it. Dean Jacobs still leads this race, but Sean Norse is putting pressure immediately. The rest of the cars race down Redgate, down towards the old hairpin and Craner curves. The rest all following behind in quite a long-fashion style. Most of them looking pretty clean for the first sector. What I've learned with the commentating is never call it clean for that first sector because things do indeed happen. I'm seeing a lot of smoke. That's obviously lots of brake locking coming on. I'm hearing screaming from the floor down and someone's off. There's another car off. It's side by side with someone. But Tevin Paul has found himself sideways. Sean Norse has found himself sideways yet again. So Sean, once more, not getting a start to this race that he wanted. That's the second race in a row that he's been spun out. Gio Sakia has been involved in something. Oratile has been involved in an incident. So all the way up to McLean's, we've had so much action yet again. It is a race number 1 repeat here for the TGN Pro Series, and my word, has it changed once again. But Dean Jacobs has been able to hold that pole position. I saw him now at the ground floor, and I told him, man, you better hold first position like your life depends on it, because this is the second week in a row now where he holds first position, and now he's under pressure because here comes Derek Truscott on the inside line of Dean Jacobs, and I think he's got the position. Lots of bumping between all of them. As Dean Jacobs now holds the inside line. Derek Truscott trying to hold the outside. It's more bumping though. Vilji Truscott gets involved. It's the two Truscott brothers putting pressure on Dean Jacob. Kitso Majia a bit further behind. It's on the cockpit cams we go. He's holding the outside line, coming down to Redgate. And let's see how the action is going to turn here. Someone tries to stick their nose on the inside here of Kitso Majia, and there's going to be an incident. It's Carl Williams behind as well. All of them trying Carl Williams off the track. He gets pushed a little bit there by Kitso Majia as they all try and go, but it's going to be wide for Carl Williams down Redgate and through Craner curves. He rejoins and he takes out Ralph Schuster. Not Ralph Schuster, apologies. Who is that who's gone off? Is that Vanny or Bert? I'm not 100% sure. There is so much action coming down, and even more. Dean Jacobs has made contact with more drivers. There is so much action coming up into McLean's and so much going on that I can't even talk right now. That's how much action there is going on here. Apologies about that one. For the first 3 minutes, we literally did not get to breathe. That's how much action there was. So much changing in that mid-pack of this race. Vilji Truscott has moved up into P1 after all the action in the mid-pack. Christopher Long is now under pressure. Daniel Kent is looking all over the backside, and he makes a mistake through the S's, and Daniel Kent moves up into second position now. Christopher Long falls behind, unfortunately. Session Governor holding fourth position. He's got Dean Jacobs just a bit further behind. Our race leader has fallen off. So much action here indeed from the virtual grandstand. And around the corners they go, up out of the Melbourne hairpin towards Goddard's. And Dean Jacobs is trying to defend, but Jared Leask with the headlights on is breaching on the inside line now. Late on the brakes, there's even more contact, and Jared Leask goes wide, makes contact with Dean Jacobs. Even more cars get up ahead. Michael de Kock has moved up 15 positions in this race. Our race leader from round number one, from heat one, apologies, has moved up all the way to 7th position, now fighting with Dean Jacobs up ahead. My word, what a massive turn of events here. And this is allowing Vilji Truscott to just run away. 1.6 seconds of a gap to Christopher Long, and Daniel Kent behind him. Session Governor is trying to keep up, but it's going to be a hard one to try and keep up with all of this action. There we see Ethan McDougall in the mid-pack now, trying to work his way around. Vanya Bad also moving around slightly. A little bit of grass play between those drivers. There's action though. Stephen Paul has lost the car somewhere, and around he goes. Unfortunately, that is a completely solo spin from Tevin Paul. He's going to have to work hard to try and get back. Jeff Sakia, Oratile Motsogotela, two drivers, very fast, but unfortunately having incidents at the start of this race have placed them at the backside. 17th and 16th position, respectively, between the two of them. It's going to be a long race to fight this way and one back up. Remember, there is a mandatory pit stop involved, though, and that could definitely play into the effects of today's racing. What happened to Gio from the virtual grandstand? Gio down in 16th position, unfortunately had an incident at the start of this race. It looked like he had a bit of a contact with Oratile Motsogotsele. From what we see here, the two of them are racing out together, and they both went off at the same time. So, bit of an incident at the start of this race, unfortunately. Jared Leask also trying to make his way up, but more and more barging around the track right now. Vilji Truscott puts himself up into first position. Well, not first position, sorry, up with the fastest lap of the session, and that is great stuff to see, because the more he goes, the more that Christopher Long and Daniel Kent are going to fight behind it, the more that he can run away. Dean Jacobs also getting the cheers from the virtual grandstand. He currently holds 7th position, and he did tell me just now that he absolutely hates starting from the front, and he feels like it's a bit of a curse, and unfortunately he has lost out from it. It's saying that Dean Jacobs started from 8th. He did not start from 8th, unfortunately. He started up in P1 of this race. I think the CMRT HUD just picks it up that he started down in 8th, but he definitely was up in front. The race of the cars, all trying to work their way around now. Still Kyle Williams behind him, JP Goslet, Jared Leask with Sean Norse and Ethan McDougall. They're fighting quite hard now, and Ethan McDougall trying to fight a way around. You can see him just on the backside, and they're getting ever so closer, trying to get up on the backside of Sean Norse, and this is going to be quite a fight. As you can see, the Hyundai i30 getting closer and closer as they come towards the S's out of the Starkey straight. What is it going to be for Ethan McDougall? He plays the safe game. He doesn't want to take a fellow competitor out, and that is great. Great sportsmanship shown there as well. Michael de Kock now fighting alongside what looks to be Session Governor, and so our race number one leader, our heat number one leader, moves up into the next position. Again, 6th place now for him as he tries to navigate around more cars. Michael de Kock, though, and Session Governor Derek Truscott just up ahead as well, with Vilji Truscott obviously holding 3rd. But Christopher Long and Daniel Kent have both gotten ahead for 1st and 2nd position here, so things have changed for the lead of this race. Unfortunately, Vilji Truscott was not able to hold it, and he's moved down into 3rd. Almost going to move it down into 4th here, as oh no, Daniel Kent has made an error coming out of Redgate. He moves to the outside line, and Vilji Truscott will take the inside. Thank you very much, good sir, and moves up into 2nd position. Christopher Long now trying to run away with this race. Let's see if he can do it with the time constraint that he's got. Michael de Kock, though, keep your eye peeled on him. Started at the back, 17 positions up, and that is indeed the correct metric, because 22 positions would be the amount of cars on grid if we didn't have any DNF. So take 22, so it's -4 positions. And so he's actually 13 positions up in today's racing. Still probably the highest amount of position gains out on track right now. Sean Norse with Ethan McDougall just a bit further behind them as well. Jeff Sakia, 14th for him. And Aratile Motogotsele still trying to work his way around the track. Tevin Paul in 16th position, still trying to make his way around. And it's going to be a hard fight for these drivers to make their way through here. Tevin Paul, Christopher Long up in front. 12 minutes to go in this race, and it's going to be a hard fight for Christopher Long and Daniel Kent up in front to make their way around. Vilji Truscott, though, third position. What can he do to try and get back up into first and second? It's going to be a hard push for him to try and make it work, but he's going to do his utmost best to try and get ahead of Daniel Kent and Christopher Long. Derek Truscott down in fourth position right now. The two Truscott brothers lining themselves up here to potentially attack those two front spots of the podium. Michael de Kock has now entered the top 5 chat. He's right on the backside of Derek Truscott. And he's going to want to try and do something here in the next couple of laps to get up ahead. Session Governor's just on the backside as well, though. He's got to watch out for Session. He might become a threat. As Vanny Bert also just a bit further behind, 7th position now. And he is moving up so far from 12th position up to 7th he will go. Gio Sakia, 13th position for him. So him and Aratile are moving up because here comes the first of the pitters. Jared Lees comes out as well as Tevin. That's Kitsumagia, apologies. There's Tevin. He's still in the pit stop. Kitsumagia trying to work his way into the top parts of this track. Unfortunately, Kitso very far down, 4 positions down since the start. And so he has not had the race. I believe he was involved in the same incident that Aratile and Geosakia were all involved in. So that's why we see him so far down the running order. Christopher Long, though, 19 positions up here, leading this race by an absolute storm. And Daniel Kent, Vilji Truscott, Derek Truscott, all of them behind. And this is what the racing has come to. But it's also great, again, to mention the amazing prizes up for grabs at the end of the season for the TGN Pro Series, powered by Master Drive and TGN Racing Simulators. We've got a couple of cash vouchers coming in at the end of the season for those top 3, I believe, from TGN side. Oh, someone goes wide almost. That's Derek Truscott. He gets a bit of a tap through Goddard's, and he's going to lose out slightly, but fortunately, Session Governor goes into the pit lane, so not going to be a threat there as they continue going around. And then Master Drive, obviously offering that massive driving experience to the race, or to the winner of the overall championship here for the TGN Pro Series. So that's what all the drivers are chasing down for. Christopher Long has already won it once for the season in 2025, and if things keep going like they are, obviously Michael de Kock took the win in race number 1, round number 1, and we'll have to see if Christopher Long can try and bring this back. But Derek Truscott has now moved up into second. He has not gone into the pit lane. A couple of the other drivers, the other competitive, have gone in, and we've officially reached our halfway point of tonight's racing in terms of round number 2. Technically also the halfway point overall for tonight, because it's race number 2. We've only got one more race left of the same distance, but it's going to be a chaos race, as I mentioned, a completely randomized grid order. And just remember that there will be a slight longer intermission between race 2 and race number 3, due to the fact that we've got to get a whole nother lobby up for that randomized grid order, so it cannot be based on a qualifying result. So it's around race number 1 and race number 2 now, then about a 15-minute break or so. We'll try and get it down a bit, maybe to 12 minutes. And then we'll head to race number 3, the final one here for tonight, the final one where drivers can score points for that championship standings. I mean, we saw it currently, and we'll bring it up again, just how the standings are looking. It is Michael de Kock who leads it with 48, as you can see. Jared Lees is, we'll try and find him out on track right now. Where does he sit? He's far down, 13th position currently. Unfortunately, that is a long shot away, and he's going to have to work to try and get a bit further up on the grid for this racing. Omar Khan, unfortunately, he's going to drop out the top 10 from not being in the racing yet tonight. Sean Norse will hopefully get a couple more points up on the board, but we'll have to wait and see. And Ralph Schuster obviously will get a couple more points for himself as well, as we do see more of the drivers coming into box now. We're on board with Sean Norse, as we just mentioned, and Derek Truscott, Dean Jacobs in 6th position, trying to make their way around this racing circuit. And we'll have to see into the pit stops they go. And now it's going to be the question of who comes out on top in this final 5 or so minutes. Obviously, we know that some drivers go for the undercut, some go for the overcut. Last in heat number 1, we saw Vanny Obert and Aratile taking that final pit stop in the final couple of minutes. I think in like the 3rd or 4th minute, they took their pit stops and dropped them down from 1st and 2nd all the way down to 7th and 11th. And so that might happen again. I see Vanny Obert is still out on track in 1st, so he's going for the overcut yet again. We'll have to see how that plays out here for the Corolla GR. Another person in the virtual grandstand saying, lack of stuff, everybody, looking good. Thank you so much. It is indeed looking good here. All is well on the broadcast of the TGN Pro Series. And we've got a lot of numbers watching here tonight, which is lovely to see. I know we've got some guys on the Facebook side of things. Apologies if you are talking there. I don't have that view open. I do have the YouTube chat open right in front of me. I've only got one screen for that one, unfortunately. The other two are dedicated for the racing action. Vilji Truscott, Jared Leesk a bit further behind as well as they keep on going. Gran Turismo SA saying, let's go. 7 minutes to go in this race. Jared Leesk looking up on the outside line now of Vilji Truscott. It converts to the inside for Melbourne and onto the inside of the hairpin he will go. What a great move from Jared Leesk, and Vilji Truscott is going to have to try and battle this because it's going to go down into Goddard, and we'll have to see who's going to have it coming down into this next corner. Vilji Truscott holds the inside line now, and Jared Leesk is not going to settle for that one. A bit of contact between the two. Vilji Truscott almost getting spun around there with a pit maneuver. Fortunately, able to hold on to it, but that slowed his roll down so much. Here comes Gio Sakia on the outside line, and what a move this is going to be for the drivers. It is now three-way fight for 8th position between Jared Leesk, Vilji Truscott, and Gio Sakia coming down into Craner curves. They've got to watch out not to take each other out. We've seen it a couple too many times yet tonight. This is a battle of note, as we see it in the virtual grandstand as well. Gio Sakia, no! We've lost someone. That's Jared Leesk. He's lost control of the car, and off into the sand pit he goes. Just not enough traction to get that Corolla GR pointing the correct direction, and Jared Leesk loses out from the fight. Gio Sakia is going to move up into 7th position, and man, oh man, what a change of events there. Gio Sakia manages to get himself up into 7th position there. Sean Norse will move down into 10th. Dean Jacobs, and man, this is a very unfortunate one. Oh man, so much action going on. Orotile gets himself up to 13th position, and wow, what an intense fight we had there. That is so unfortunate to see Jared Leesk dropping out. More contact. Dean Jacobs goes sideways into the grass after making contact with Kyle Williams, and he drops off slightly, unfortunately. That's going to be a massive loss of positions there for Kyle Williams, and very, very unfortunate. The virtual grandstand, though, is going wild here. We've got someone saying had such a good time. I'm going to convert Joel to good time, just for anyone watching who that is in South African. Had such a good time in Pro-Am last week. Can only imagine how it feels in the touring cars. I've got to say, the touring cars are not the easiest to drive here at Donington Park. I did have a bit of a tester when I got here a bit earlier, and they are very, very understeery. It is a front engine car. Obviously, all the power delivered to that front axle, and so it is it's a bit of a difficult one. I can't lie to you. As soon as you put the throttle down on the car, it wants to immediately steer towards the grass, and the grass is not your friend in this case, unfortunately. So, bit of a difficult one. Someone screaming down on the field. I'm not too sure what's happened, but someone's not happy. It's Vanny Obat. He's off into the wall after a massive incident. 15th of Jared Leesk moves up now, and somebody else is off, though. Who is in 14th position? I believe that's Sean Norse, and indeed it was Sean Norse who went off, so lots and lots of contact. And man, oh man, people in the virtual grandstand feeling it for Dean, feeling it for Sean Norse, and someone's gone off. I heard the screams down there, and Vanny Obert, after leading for so long, has pitted it into the wall. Fortunately, there is no damage in this event, so thankfully no damage on the front of that Toyota Corolla, and he continue going around. But unfortunately, he loses that massive gap he pulled. I think even though he was leading, he still had another pit stop to do, so I think he would have lost it either way, unfortunately. But man, that is just going to degrade him from coming out from the pits in 7th, and unfortunately he's down to 15th without the pit stop even being made. Unless he's done the pit stop, but I don't think so. It is a little bit more difficult to try and monitor it. But fortunately in this race, we've had the drivers keep with each other a bit more. The battle for first, though, is going to start to get close in his final 3 minutes. It is Daniel Kent with Christopher Long just a bit further behind him, and Daniel's managed to get himself back into the lead of this race. What can they do in these final dire moments? The rest of the cars all trying to navigate their way. Gio Sakia and Ralph Schuster have got themselves up into the 5th and 6th position slot. JP Goslet a bit further down in 8th. And Michael de Kock, unfortunately, not able to get up into 1st position where you would have hoped for. I hear more screaming down on the floor. I'm trying to hear and identify the voices. It sounds like a Dean or someone, and I really hope it's not, as I see no one really spinning out on the track here. So looks like maybe just a bit of a frustration grudge down there on the floor for these drivers. It's been a bit of a night here for most of them as they try and navigate their way around the circuit. And Danny and Chris up in front The Cape Town boys for the win indeed. That is being told from the virtual grandstand. The two leading up in front, but Christopher Long has made up. What happened to Daniel Kent? He's lost out. Daniel Kent has made an error and he loses out 3 positions. He's lost out from first and all the way down to 4th position he goes. Derek Truscott and Session Govender, one of the newer guys to the Pro Series, finds himself in 3rd position. What a great place for Govender to be. He's got Daniel Kent though pressuring on the backside, and this is going to be a very difficult fight to keep at bay. If he can do this, it'll be his first podium finish in the Pro Series, and I think in any series he's raced in here at TGN. So this will be a great finish for Session Govender if he can bring this one home in 3rd. But up in front, Derek Truscott is now challenging for the lead. He moves up into 1st position and takes it from Christopher Long. But once again, the switchbacks from the 2 up in front. This is such great racing, and we'll have to see what happens. Unfortunately, I know we would love to see what happened to Derek there. Just we don't have a replay system built into AC. We've obviously iRacing and all the other platforms have got a nice replay system, but just not one built into Assetto Corsa, which, you know, it kind of sucks a bit because there's lots of moments where we wish we could go back and see what happened, but unfortunately we just don't have that right now. We'll have to try and maybe look for a script that can go backwards, but yeah, that might be a bit tricky. Derek Truscott up in front though in 1st, is still trying to make his way through this track, and now holding on in the final minute and 26 seconds. This is the 2nd last lap of racing. He's still going to get across the checkered flag before the timer ends. And we'll have to see how this is going to change between all of them. Someone's off in the background. That looks like Ralph Schuster. No, it's not. It's someone even further behind. I don't know who it is. Was it JP Goslet? No, I think it was Kyle Williams or the likes of Gio Sakia. I think it was Kyle Williams. Similar looking car there. Gio Sakia is going to get a bit of ballast after that one. Looks like he climbed over the curbs there. And the rest of them still busy fighting on strong. At 56 seconds left to go. The race leader, Christopher Long, he's managed to take it back now from Derek Truscott, but it is fighting nonetheless down to the line. It's still 2 Cape Townians trying to bring it home here for the win. And they're going to come across the checkered flag now with 40 seconds to spare. The final lap of racing between the drivers. No onboard lap needed here. We've got so much action because the top 3, in fact, funny enough, the top 5 are all within attacking distance as it comes to the closing of this race. Christopher Long has got such a difficult task ahead. Can he keep Derek Truscott and Daniel Kent at bay? And Daniel Kent is indeed flying. He's managed to get up to the pole. He drops down. Unfortunately, there he drops. Daniel Kent on the final lap where we saw he had so much push has lost it again. Daniel Kent. Oh, and he makes contact with Carl Williams onto the track on the racing line. He goes. And my goodness, what on earth has just happened to Daniel Kent? He's lost out on this on the race podium, and guess who moves up again? Session Govender, who he just moved up into 4th, and Ralph Schuster has found his way into the 3rd position slot. What on earth is going on in this race? Race number 2 has changed completely as Ralph Schuster now finds himself in the podium, 8 positions up. Christopher Long is probably gonna find someone. Christopher Long is probably gonna find himself a win in today's race if he keeps it going. Down to Melbourne he goes. Someone has got to organize me a halls indeed. I've got to get... There is too much action going on at one time to try and keep it all in one vocal burst, but we've managed it because here he comes. Christopher Long around Goddard's corner. He will come and taking the win for race number 2. Heat 2, the win goes to Christopher Long. Derek Truscott will take 2nd and Ralph Schuster claiming 3rd. Session Governor down in 4th. Jerry Sakia, 5th position with Kyle Williams and JP Goslet in 7th. Michael Lecoq finishes in 8th with Arotile Matsogotsele. Jared Lees down in 10th with Daniel Kent, unfortunately, down in 11th. What an unfortunate race. He loses out to Sean Norse on the line. So Sean Norse moves up into 11th. Then Daniel Kent. Then Vanna Yabad, Vilji Truscott, Kitsomagia, Dean Jacobs, Tevin Paul is going to nurse it home after such a long day of racing. And after that, it is Ethan McDougall at the backside of the grid. There he lets a couple of drivers past. And man, oh man, I can finally breathe. What an absolutely crazy race we just got to witness for race number 2. If you thought that action was great, guess what? We've got one more coming up for you. It's heat number 3 next, and heat number 3 is going to bring even more action. It is the completely randomized grid. That's where the drivers are going to be placed wherever the system decides to place them. Do not go anywhere. I swear, if I lose this amazing virtual grandstand we've managed to build up in today's racing, we've got one more 20-minute race. If you've got plans, cancel them. If if you've got plans, delay them for a bit, all right? 20 minutes left. That's all we've got, all right? Well, 20 minutes plus the 15-minute intermission, all right? So 40 minutes. 40 minutes is all you got to wait. 40 minutes until the end. We'll see you shortly. Do not go anywhere.
Just to know what you knew. Restless every time we start looking as lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Let the darkness take control. Let the darkness take control. Darkness take control. May the darkness take control. Take me in the smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Sink to your heart to find you. Open up your eyes till you're blinded by the lies, so you can see what you do. Restless every time we start looking as lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Teardrops on the floor. The pain is over. Feel the darkness take control. Darkness take control.
Oh, I am still trying to catch my breath. I'm gonna be dead honest with our virtual grandstand. It is it is a recovery moment and a half. Yeah, as race number 2 was absolutely insane. Unfortunately, the racing wasn't as clean as we would have hoped it to be. But it was very entertaining. I've got to say it, from all of us at the virtual grandstand. I think we were all pretty entertained. Am I right? Am I right? Hope you got some tea. I got myself a Red Bull. Hopefully that's going to do. It's not as soothing as a tea. I think next time around I'm going to have to bring myself some holes and maybe some chamomile tea. If the racing action is this intense, because the boys are not going to give me a chance to have a bit of a breather, it seems. And it seems like what the starting grid looks like, we're going to have even more action. Dean Jacobs lines up on first again, and he's got Sean Norse alongside. Vanio Bert is in third, Jersekia fourth, JP Goslet, Tevin Paul, Jared, Aratile Motsogotsele, Ethan McDougall, Kitsu Majila, Ryan Gregoratos of season here, Daniel Kent, Session Governor, Derek Truscott, Christopher Long, Michael de Kock, Kyle Williams, Ralph Schuster down in 19th. Vilgie Truscott will be the last driver. 20 cars on this grid, and there we see a couple of the drivers disconnecting now who aren't actually in today's racing. And here's our gantry lights already. It is time to go racing here for the final time for round number 2 at Donington Park. It is Dean Jacobs up in front, and lights out, and away we go. Green flag running here for the TGN Racing Simulators Pro Series, round number 2 at Donington Park. The final heat for tonight, heat number 3, the completely randomized grid, and Dean Jacobs has been able to hold it in the front. Sean Norse goes wide, and he's given way to Vanny Obert, who moves up into second position now. Sean Norse, unfortunately, losing out there. Jeff Sakia still holding fourth, now moves up into third. Sean Norse has had a very difficult start to this race. The rest of the drivers still trying to come down the hill quite cleanly. It looks like all of them have managed to come down the hill of the Craner curves quite nicely. Now towards the old hairpin and towards McLean they will come. It is still Dean Jacobs holding the race win here in terms of, not the race win, the race lead, with Van Obat and Gio Sakia putting a lot of pressure now, looking on the inside. Apologies about that, I had to sneeze quickly, but we can't miss the action, right? The sneeze is not as important as it. And Gio Sakia now trying to find a way around Van Obat. It is officially down 1 minute already. In the background, it is Sean Norse and JP Goslet already fighting themselves as well. And JP Goslet moving himself into 5th position now. Unfortunately, Sean Norse is going to lose out again if he cannot manage this one. Tevin Paul and Jared Leask a bit further behind in the background. And there they go over the curbs together. And almost side by side between Jared Leask and Tevin Paul. The race still going around. Sean Norse has been able to hold 4th position, it seems, from JP Goslet. The race still going around. Someone's off, though. It's Session Governor down in 18th position, unfortunately. He has not had the start he wanted on this race and moves down. One position, started 17th, down to 18th he will go. The rest of the drivers, also lots of action in our mid-pack over here. It's almost 4 wide coming into Goddard's as all the drivers now breaking into the turning zone. Michael de Kock finds himself in there, but locking that back left tire. Now coming onto the main straight towards Redgate. All the drivers still alongside each other, trying to push on strong. Aratile Matsogotsele holding up in front. Lots and lots of action between all the drivers here. Just a bit further behind, Vilgie Truscott, Derek Truscott up in front, and is still trying to work their way around. Kitsumagia, Dean Jacobs, Christopher Long, Tevin Paul up in 6th position, is still trying to work his way here through 6th position on the clock. Aratile is also trying to work his way 11th positions in today's racing. Ralph Schuster, but further behind in 14th. He's also trying to make his way through. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to climb here. 8 positions up since the backside, -4, so it's 4 positions up. Oh, and someone's off. Someone's off. It looks like a yellow-colored car. Who is that? Is that Session Governor again? No, it's not. It's Daniel Kent. Daniel Kent has lost the car coming out of the Craner curves, and up towards McLean he comes now, all the way down to 17th position after that incident. And he's going to have Session on the backside. Joseph Kia, on the other hand, has had a great launch here, moving up into 1st position. Vanny Obat, just a bit further behind him, is going to try and keep 2nd position. I did speak to Vanny, and he said he had a bit of a wobble with Giosakia, and that's why we saw him in the previous race completely spinning off and tapping into the wall. Huge brake lock on the back right there. Got to watch out for the flat spots, especially when it comes down to that pit stop. You do not want to have to sacrifice tires, as we see Jared Lee's going pretty slow here out of Melbourne. And that's going to give Christopher Long the run to try and make an overtake. But Jared Leask is going defensive. A couple too many positions there from Jared Leask. And that's unfortunately what is going to happen to him. He goes wide from making the triple defensive moves. And loses out to not only the likes of Christopher Long, but to Tevin Paul and Kitsumagia. They also get up in front of him. So now Kitsumagia having a much better race here today. Let's hope that he can keep it up in front, as Tevin Paul has gone wide. Kitsumagia moves himself up into 5th position now. This is looking good for Kitso if he can keep his stride going here. Sean Norse has also had a much better race compared to the previous ones, holding 3rd position now. Dean Jacobs, unfortunately, starting up in the front all the way down to 8th position as it stands. Not a great one, and dropping down all the way once again. Aratile has been able to claim up into 9th position. He has moved up 3 right now. Ralph Schuster also moving up quite a dominant amount on the track. Same with Vilgie Truscott. Kyle Williams up 10 positions as well. So lots of movement on this grid here today. Session Governor, obviously, unfortunately, dropping down quite a drastic bit from where he was earlier. Derek Truscott remains where he started, essentially. JP Goslet, 9 positions down. Started 8th, down to 17th here. That is not going to be good for his running. But 5 minutes has already passed on for this final race. Kyle Williams, Michael de Kock in the background is fighting pretty hard, it looks like right now. In the background they go. It is what looks to be Ralph Schuster, and Vilgie Truscott, and Ralph Schuster goes all over the grass now side by side with Vilgie Truscott. Down to the Melbourne corner they will come. Where does Carl Williams sit? And Ralph Schuster, just on that cockpit view, you can see he's holding the outside line from Vilji Truscott. And now he's going to have the inside line going into the next corner. You can see he's just made the overtake as we try and find the camera angle. There it is there. And he's just gotten up ahead of Vilji Truscott. Bit of a bump on the back end side there. Apologies, didn't mean to go for that fight. And there's Ralph Schuster. He's managed to keep it and move up into 12th position. Oratile comes in for a very, very early mandatory pit stop. He's going for the undercut. And into the pit he will come. I'm hearing someone screaming again downstairs. I'm not too sure who that is. It could possibly be the likes of... Where am I looking? There I'm looking. Apologies about that. It is indeed. It's Stephen Paul down at 16th position. He's gone off onto the left-hand side, the right-hand side of Craner Curbs, unfortunately. Dean Jacobs was also shouting just now, so not too sure what's happened there. The battle for fifth, though, is very much alive as Kitsumajia is about to lose out to Carl Williams, and indeed he's lost out, unfortunately. Carl Williams moves up into 6th position, and Kitsumajia will now be under threat from Michael de Kock. So it's 4 cars long. So far, the racing action already has been a lot better compared to race number 1. We've seen a considerate amount less of incidents around the track, so that is great to see. But Kitsumajia up in front, Michael de Kock just a bit further behind. Lots and lots of trailing going on between these drivers as they try and make their way. But Michael de Kock in the Ford Fiesta will make the jump over the curbs. That's going to be a corner cut. Definitely going to get some ballast slapped onto that car. That gives Kitsumajia the opportunity to get the run in on the left-hand side now into the Melbourne right-hander. They go. What can Kitsumajila do to try and get up in front? He's got to be cautious, though, because Ralph Schuster in the Cupra is just behind Kitsumajia in that Ford, in the Vauxhall. Now coming into the right-hander. What is it going to be? Vanio Bat gets the fastest lap of this race. He's going to be chasing down. Now Christopher Long takes it away. And so the two of them are going to be chasing down on Gio Sakia here, coming down towards the end of this race. 13 minutes left of racing to go. We will be done before 9 o'clock even. That is absolutely wild. If anyone watched last season of TGN Pro Series, you'll know that we almost used to end at 10 o'clock each night, but we've shifted everything up by a whole hour. So instead of the racing starting at 8, it starts at 7 o'clock with the open practice starting at 6:30. So things definitely moved up. It's allowing the drivers to get home slightly earlier, not so late on the roads here. We know that the roads in South Africa are not that great late at night, so that is great to see. Michael de Kock, though, is trying to get up ahead of Carl Williams, and there's a little bit of a bump between the two of them. Unfortunately, Carl Williams gets booted a bit off the track there, but fortunately still keeps that position. This is giving Kitsumajia the opportunity to try and keep with the drivers up in front and potentially try and get up ahead, but he does have Ralph Schuster putting pressure behind. He's got to watch out for that one to not sacrifice too much speed. JP Goslet also down there in 13th position. He's got pressure from Session Governor in 14th, so the two of them are fighting quite strong. Derek Truscott is also in that fight, and it's four-way being made by Dean Jacobs. So four-way battle for 13th position. Ethan McDougall has had a good run though so far. Up into 12th position he goes. That is absolutely lovely work to see. And holding forefront though is still Gio Sakia. He's had a much better race this time around. Oh, a little bit of a grass tap there. He's got to watch out from Vanio Bat though. A very, very fast driver behind is going to be trying to catch up as best as he possibly can. So he does not want to lose this to Vanio Bat. Hopefully he does not, and he keeps up in front in that Cupra. We'll have to see as it keeps on going. Sean Norse comes out of the pit lane though, it seems, what it looked like. I don't think he did. I didn't see the pit number next to him. Ralph Schuster though comes into the pit lane, same as JP Goslet. So the two of them coming in for an undercut strategy here, and we'll have to see if that is going to work out for them or not. Vanio Bat still up in second, and we've officially reached the halfway point of this race. 1 minute to go before halfway, and this is roughly when we will see most of the drivers coming into the pit stops to get it done and dusted for the evening. The final one of tonight, heat number 3. And I gotta say, I'm glad to see that the racing has become a bit more clean. Unfortunately, with racing clean, as you can see on the track map, it is a lot more spread out. We've got drivers all across the Craner curves, all across McLean and Coppers, and what we saw in heat number 2 is all the drivers bunched up together in one sector. So the slightly more dangerous and reckless driving does lead to drivers being a bit more cautious to avoid incident, and so we do see them a little bit closer to each other. But here's the battle of the teal blues. It is Session Governor and Derek Truscott, the two teal blue cars fighting it out, and Derek has won this battle for the time being. He moves ahead of the i30N and into 12th position he will go in the Cupra Leon. Let's hope he can keep it though as they keep on going around. Daniel Kent a bit further behind in 9th, still right behind Kitsumajia, who's unfortunately lost out slightly to Michael de Kock. Jared Leask has now lost out as well. This is potentially going to be a bit of a fight into Goddard's. Jared Leesk looking on that outside line. He's got to watch out to not lose it from the back. And that is a very, very confusing. Sorry, apologies. They all come into the pit lane at once and actually bump each other into the pit lane there. Michael the Cock giving Jared Leesk a bit of a run for his money. And that was quite confusing to watch on the corner exit because they both made contact. And Michael the Cock took the outside line of Goddard's, but then decided he wanted to come to the pit lane. So, bit of a questionable one there. I don't know what the stewards are going to say to that. Usually with pit lane, if you wanted to come in, you should hug the side of the track where the pit lane entry starts. You should not cross over. And unfortunately, that crossing over has led him to bump into Jared Leesk, which is going to be a bit of a complaint. So, unfortunately for Michael the Cock, he will probably get a bit of a penalty for that one. That is a naughty no-no that he's performed there, but hopefully nothing too serious. Back to the racing though. Ralph Schuster, it's maroon versus purple. The two slightly more odd colors around track. It's Kyle Williams versus Ralph Schuster as they move around. Remember that Ralph is already pitted. I don't know if Kyle Williams has come into the pit lane as of yet, but Ralph can just focus headway onto the final 9 minutes of this race, and that's exactly what he's going to be doing for the remainder of it. Vanni Oberto still holding his steed up in front, and let's see what he can do. He's obviously got that pit stop left to do. Remember that Oratile Motsogotsele, keep your eye on him. He came in for that very early undercut at the 4-minute mark, and so it is now his race to catch. All he needs to do is catch up to the drivers up in front, and hopefully he can do it with quite a pace and quite a speed. We'll have to wait and see if that is going to be the case for him. Christopher Long now into the pit lane in second position, diving in and hoping for the best as he comes out. We'll see where he does come out. Kitsumajia gets promoted to third after the pit stops, as we do see Volji Truscott also jumping into the pit lane. Now, Vanni Obert still going for that very hefty overcut strategy. He stays out on track, and so we'll see if this is going to work out for him again, or if he's unfortunately going to have something happen out on track. I'm hoping nothing does. As we were chatting in the virtual grandstand, Vanni Obert was leading that race in heat number 2, and they just had a bit of a spin. Someone is shouting downstairs again. It fears me to say it, because then I have to go and try and find the person who's shouting, and I can never identify it by their voice. It sounded a bit like Sean Norse, but he looks like he's all good and running, and so he's got looks to be JP Gosler just a bit further behind him in the Cupra Leon. As we've got 8 minutes left of racing now. Most of the drivers will be finished with their pit stop strategies. Obviously, not Vanni Obert up in front position, as Kitsumajia now chasing on in second position. We'll have to see how this is going to work out for all of them. Ethan McDougall, I also don't think has pitted. I think Christopher Long has pitted. So this is going to be your provisional poll for today's racing. The 3 up in front are yet to come into the pit lane, and so we'll have to wait and see how that works out for them. Dean Jacobs 5th, with Gio Sakia currently sitting in 6th. Have a quick sip of something to drink here, as we see Gio Sakia now moving up into 5th position. He's gotten Dean Jacobs and caught him by storm through the S's. Out of the Starkey straight they go, and Vanni Obert still leading up in front, with Kitsumajia in 2nd position. Ethan McDougall a bit further behind is now obviously promoted to 3rd, with the pit stop strategies not being done and locked in here there yet. Daniel Kent, who we saw had quite a bit of a spin towards the starting side of this race, he's managed to set himself a 56.000, so a 100% flat time. You don't usually get to see that. JP Gosler a bit further behind in 15th, with Derek Truscott, Session Governor, also down in 17th. Tevin Paul still tailing in 18th position, with Kitsumajia and Dean Jacobs up in 5th. But 6 minutes left to go of racing. It is unfortunate, because it means we've got only 6 minutes left together here. Well, 7 minutes, I'd say. Probably 10 to round it off with all the ending stream events. But for the time being, Vanni Obert 17.5 seconds ahead of Ethan McDougall. Kitsumajia has come into the pit lane, and he comes out in 9th position, just behind Michael de Kock. So basically where he was running before the pit stops happened, he was right by Michael de Kock and Oratile, who obviously pitted way early on in this race. And so Oratile's got a nice warm running tyres, but they will be slightly more worn than the rest of the cars on track. Vanni Oberto is coming through the Melbourne hairpin now, and he'll make the right-hander up towards Goddard's. The question is, does he come into box at the 6-minute mark now, or is he going to try and stay out for yet another lap? I don't know if the car is going to be able to make it. We'll have to see if he can do it. So coming around Goddard's now, looks like he's hugging quite tight, and indeed he is. That is how you take the pit entry line and moving in to the pit lane. Great stuff there from Vanna. We've got Luke Addison joining us in the virtual commentary box. Welcome in, Mr. Luke, as we have 5 minutes left here of Donington Park. The rest still going around track. 5th position still Dean Jacobs, Gio Sakia, and Christopher Long up in 3rd position. Vanio Berto. The question is, where does he come out? Nice and fast pit stop from him. Where's Christopher Long going to be? There he comes, just out of the pit lane exit. And there's Vanio Bert. So he's going to drop down to what looks to be 4th position. There's Dean Jacobs. So 4th position for Vanio Bert. Really not a bad loss in the pit lane. Let's hope that with the time left that he's got, 5 minutes, can he catch up to Gio Sakia? Gio is just down the road. It's going to be a bit of a chase, though. Christopher Long is just up in front of Gio Sakia. And Ethan McDougall now sits as the provisional pole. Obviously, he'll also come to the pit lane shortly, but he's getting a bit of his glory time up in front right now, and hoping that he can just keep it nice and steady, holding off that the lead of the race. But Christopher Long looking to be your provisional race winner for the time being. If Gio Sakia doesn't have something to say about it, we have seen Gio leading for primarily most parts of this race, with Christopher Long obviously overtaking him in these final couple of portions. But 4 minutes left to go. This is where the racing gets tight. The drivers tuck the elbows in. They become more streamlined, and they hope to make it towards the end as fast as they possibly can. 1 second of a gap now to Christopher Long and Ethan McDougall, and unfortunately Ethan is going to drop quite far down the order here after his pit stop is going to be made. He should be making it in the next couple of seconds, and should make it at about the 4-minute mark. Coming out of Melbourne now towards Goddard, it is going to be, there we go, you see Ethan McDougall letting Christopher Long go past. Just a reminder that Ethan McDougall is a part of the TGN staff, so he has got zero intention of causing a wreck here with a proper race leader. That would be quite a interesting one to talk about, but he stays out surprisingly. So Ethan McDougall, I wonder if he's just going to go to the end. Obviously, his points don't really count being part of the staff team. Same with Vanio Bad, but they're still race for the fun of it to add action around the grid. But Christopher Long still up in front, holding as much as he can, and he's still got Gio Sakia just a bit further behind. It is a 1 second gap for the winner of this race, and the question is, will Gio Sakia be able to catch in 3 laps, or is this going to be the end of it? Will Christopher Long be able to pull away? Gio Sakia looks to be holding a passive 9/10 gap right now. Ralph Schuster is in a massive fight right now with what's to be Daniel Kent, who's made his way back up into the top 10. That's great to see. Vilji Truscott just a bit further behind. So now Ralph Schuster fighting quite hard with Vilji Truscott. Aratile, after the undercut strategy, unfortunately still sits in 11th position. The virtual grandstand cheering everyone on. And I've got to say, much cleaner racing than what we saw in race number 2, which is always lovely to see. Sean Norris has unfortunately not had the race he wanted yet. 10 positions down since the start. He did start in 2nd, all the way down to 10th. And not the greatest one to see. He did not start 5th. That unfortunately is slightly wrong, as it does tend to do that with the chaos grids, because it's not based on a qualifying position, it's based on a random position. And with the DNF cars we have on track, it also puts them into that calculation. So Sean Norris starting in 5th, but actually started in 2nd. And that gap is slowly decreasing between Gio Sakia and Christopher Long, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Gio Sakia to catch up. 2.5 minutes left to go. We will be heading into the second last lap here, as Christopher Long comes across the checkered flag line now. Kyle Williams, but further behind in 5th position. Vanio Bat is trying to catch up. There comes Ethan McDougall into the pit lane. He officially goes, and so Vanio Bat will claim 3rd position now. And the final spot of that podium, Kyle Williams will be chasing down on Vanna, but it is a long gap. 10 seconds of the way behind the leader, so it's about 4 seconds to chase to Vanio Bat in 3rd position. It's going to be quite a bit of a tough battle, and still trying to get past Vanio Bat, who we know can defend pretty well. So going to be a bit of a mission there for Kyle Williams to get up into 3rd position. Bit of smoke coming out of the back of Ralph there, bit of a rear lock on that Cupra. He's got to watch out for not to shed those tires too much. Someone's off there. Who was off was that Session Governor, who just went off the grass. Indeed it was. Dean Jacobs, unfortunately again, not having the race he wanted either. Started 1st, down to 17th position. So just not being dealt the good hands here in today's racing. Christopher Long, though, is extending the lead now. It is 1.4 seconds of a gap to Gio Sakia, and it is just increasing ever so slightly each lap it goes. And coming through the coming through the S's now towards Melbourne. It is under 1.5 minutes left, and the average lap time is about 1.5 minutes. So next lap will be the white flag, the final lap we get to go around here at Donington Park for round number 2. And it is going to be an interesting one to play for indeed, as the rest of the drivers still try and work their way around. It is coming towards the ending stretches of it, and just trying to look here. We do head to another British track next in the next 2 weeks, round number 3 at Silverstone National. So the slightly smaller circuit, not the Silverstone International one that the Formula 1 cars drive on, but still Silverstone nonetheless. Also a very interesting track to watch the BTCC cars race on. And that's going to be quite a fun one. So make sure you're here in 2 weeks or so. It will be the same race for the AM series in 1 week from now, obviously with no commentary, but there will be on YouTube still with the autocam for you to tune in live and watch. Kitsumajia, but further behind in 6th position, still tailing onto the backside of Michael de Kock, but things are now slowly starting to come to their slow end as we do see Christopher Long making his way up towards McLean and Coppice. And this is going to be the final couple of times. Joe Sakir is losing that gap. 2.4 seconds now to Christopher Long. It is going to take quite a bit of a battle to try and get up there, unfortunately. And I don't think he's going to be able to do it. 2.5 seconds. And there we go. The race clock has officially hit 0. Overtime has been instituted. Christopher Long on the spot on the Starkey Straight. Coming down into the S's now. He will move towards Melbourne and the Melbourne hairpin. The final, the second last corner. I always want to say the final hairpin. It's not the final hairpin, though, because the final corner is also, funny enough, a hairpin. So, Christopher Long now coming through that second last hairpin of Melbourne. And now running on that small straight up towards Goddard's, the final corner and the final hairpin of the racing here today. The racing here in general is officially done and dusted. Christopher Long comes onto the main straight and takes the checkered flag for yet another win for heat number 3. Gio Sakia will round it off in 2nd position. A much better finish. Vanny Obert will finish 3rd after no incident here for round number for heat number 3. Carl Williams takes 4th position, and we've had a much cleaner race here tonight. Michael de Kock with Kitso Magia just further behind him. Daniel Kent will come across the line strong in 7th with Volji Truscott and Derek Truscott, the two brothers finishing alongside Aratile in 10th with Rolf Schuster in 11th. Jared Lees will take 12th. Session Governor in the 13th. Sean Norris down in 14th position and Ethan McDougall 15th. JP Goslet just coming across the checkered flag line. Dean Jacobs in 17th position. And I feel like Ethan McDougall didn't come into pit, so he's actually on an empty tank just trying to get it home now, as there we officially have it. The racing is done and dusted here for tonight. The drivers will be stretching it out, making sure to give themselves a round of applause. Good job to Kitsaw, coming from Mr. Mark in the chat. Good racing to all the gents as well. What a great race we had here for round number 2 at Donington Park. But that is officially it for our final heat and the overall racing for tonight at the TGN Pro Series, round number 2 at Donington Park. Thank you so much for joining us live on YouTube as well as Facebook. We see you again in 2 weeks' time from now. That will be at the Silverstone National Circuit for round number 3. That is sure to be an interesting race nonetheless. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. Going to be a great race. And we'll have all the same drivers here from Cape Town, from Durban, from Johannesburg. And once again, if you want to get involved in all things TGN, head down to your local TGN center. We've got the Johannesburg Centre here at Canera Office Park in Randburg. We've got the Cape Town Centre in Sonique Mall in Cape Town. And then obviously we've got the Durban TGN Centre in Cornubia Mall. And obviously, like I mentioned, down in Durban. So get yourself involved with TGN and have an absolutely great night to all those further who joined us in the virtual grandstand. My name has been Tristan Earps, and we'll see you next week. Not next week, we'll see you in 2 weeks for round number 3. Have a great night further.